reality. So I think they're probably playing off of that, right? To try to say that those of us that are connecting the dots are like him and we're nuts.
That makes sense. And that might have been.
If we're not a threat, they wouldn't be trying to demonize us, right? We are connecting the dots. We are connecting the dots. We are showing how this all does fit together. And it is a threat to them because people are waking up, which is why they only attack the people that are a threat. They only attack the ones they fear. Wow. Great interview. Fascinating. This whole conversation, not many people could keep up with it, but of course she can. Courtney Turner, and here is the book, The Final Betrayal. Her website is also CourtneyTurner.com. Courtney, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah,
and folks, if you appreciate what we're doing here, where else are you going to find programming like this? We have to have your support right now. Please remember us in your end of the year giving right now, won't you? WorldviewFoundation.com. Take care. Is she still there, Logan?
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff operations officer, assisted the national security team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan, and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
A color revolution is in this case, for the United States of America, this is a long period of time that this has been going on. They kicked it into higher gear when Trump won in 2016, and then they're balls to the walls right now, you know, in terms of what they're doing, and it's clear. All you got to look at is the components of a color revolution. Go look at the components. I mean, I can list them off here, but it's on my pin post on X right now. Just go look at the components of a color revolution. We are going through all of them. Trump needs to understand that this is not just some, like he said in one of the clips you showed, this is not some guy who's a loony bin. No, this guy is extremely well trained. He is a soldier of the left. Okay, he is a soldier of the movement to destroy the United States of America. And we have got to start facing the facts. The main actions that we are seeing economic warfare being played against us. We're seeing cyber warfare. I mean, my God, Mike Benz is one of the best to listen to. We have political interference. You know, most people, Steve, don't know about what's called I wrote it down here, the New Virginia Majority, right? There's a name, Tram Nyan. New Virginia Majority. This is a communist movement inside of the United States to make sure that they get as many people that are communists running at the local level, school boards on up, right? And then we have what's called, within the color revolution, you have what's called contrived cultural shifts. And that's this whole Islamification of the United States of America in different places of the country. I mean, we have the problem right here in Florida. I'm down here in Florida right now. It's not just in Florida. It's not just in Dearborn. It's not just in Houston with the Epic City. Steve, this is a creeping like a cancer that is coming into our country. Yep. Islam is not compatible with Christianity, and Sharia law is not compatible with constitutional law. We cannot have either.
Welcome back to More War Monday. The Rob Maness Show's live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, the color revolution on the United States is ramping up, but is America having a wake-up call yet? The events of the last 2 weeks should surely be one as we see this color revolution ramp up against our republic. If you read General Flynn's pinned post that he mentioned on X, you'll see an answer to the question, what is a color revolution? Well, it's the insidious overthrow of an elected government by clandestine parties. As the general says, this has been going on a long time, at least since the Obama administration. where they recruited and filled our federal government with socialist left and right-wing warmonger bureaucrats in places like state, the intel community, Department of Defense, that's now the War Department. This was all going on quietly behind the scenes up until very recently. The Seditious Six video is the most blatant effort by leftist elected officials, and now that effort is linked to the fake and anonymously sourced report out of the Washington Post about war crimes being committed by our forces, killing drug boat targets that are in the Gulf of America. This includes elected officials on the so-called right, too, as we saw the Republican chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee buy into the fake war crime story over the weekend, but he's now walked it back. And layered underneath all of that is the Islamist attack on National Guard troops in Washington, D.C., killing one and seriously wounding another, who is making a remarkable recovery, by the way. As of the time I came on the air, we were getting reports that he's giving thumbs up to the nurses, wiggling his toes when he's asked to. That is a massive improvement and probably a miracle. We're paying a high price for the massive migration of third world masses into this country. And all of these developments are part of a fifth generation warfare effort to take down the duly elected leader of our government, Donald Trump. Planting false narratives like the National Guard are Nazis in the minds of citizens leads to violent actions at some point in its classic 5GW. As a matter of fact, you're seeing it happen. You saw it happen over the weekend in New York City, where so-called protesters who are really insurgents blocked ICE from leaving a garage building in downtown New York City and then got violent. There's calls for violence against the National Guard and ICE right over in New Orleans, not far from where I'm sitting right now. That just happened yesterday. All because we who voted for Donald Trump, are getting what we voted for, a mass deportation operation. They are ratcheting it up with the color revolution, though, because they're out of ideas and they're getting desperate. And with desperation comes risk. And 5G warfare may not seem risky because it's mostly non-kinetic, but it is aimed at transitioning to kinetic warfare internally into a democracy of the Western style, or in our case, our republic, our representative republic. And that's why my guest today is Chad Caton, who has worked with co-authors of the Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare, retired Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, who you just heard from, and the late Boone Cutler extensively. Chad's a former U.S. Navy Seabee. He's a retired firefighter and a first responder. He was the Trump Campaign Veterans Coalition surrogate. He's a GOP political activist, so he is biased politically. That's okay. He's the national field director of the Conservative Caucus. And now, I want to add this to his resume. He's an exceptional field operative in this type of warfare. And we saw his performance in Portland, Oregon, not long ago, where they did a fabulous takedown and put a team together that did that takedown of the leftist Antifa violence that was going on there. Chad, welcome back to the Rob Maness Show.
Always a pleasure, Colonel. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I know you were late coming in. I don't know if you saw the little clip I played of General Flynn talking about the color revolution with Bannon just the other day. That's ramping up. You know, it's been going on a long time. I think even during the Obama administration is really when it started in earnest, because that's when they put people in the bureaucracy that they could rely on the most. But now with the Seditious Six video and
Murderous Six.
Say again?
Murderous Six.
Yeah, Murderous Six, yeah. You're right. You're right. With those guys, and then over the weekend, their commander, Mark Kelly, he comes in and he starts talking about the fake war crime story that broke, I think, Friday out of the Washington Post. And now you see videos out of New York City, the demonstrators that are really insurgents taking on ICE, actually blocking them in a garage and until they had to force their way out. Now you get calls for attacks on the National Guard and ICE over in New Orleans. I just saw a video as I was researching for this show in the last 24 hours of activists after activists after activists. They're really fake activists. They're really soldiers on the left trying to foment this revolution, aren't they?
They are, and I rarely would disagree with General Flynn, but I've done more research in my own, and I think color revolution is being nice. These are Bolshevik. This is part of the. They're not nonviolent. The whole concept behind the color revolution is it was nonviolent. These people are violent. They are doing it in violence. They're radicalizing their side to do violence. They are saying that they need to push us at every point, every MAGA hat you see. I'm done playing with these people. I'm going to call it what it is. And these people are legitimately coming for all of us. I've seen it on the ground. I've seen it happen to me. I've been swatted. You name it, and I'm still standing here. They're going to keep coming for us. And I'm not going to give them the hippie concept of the color revolution where they just protest without violence. There was not one night when I was in Portland that somebody didn't try to be violent towards me or my cohorts. These people are nowhere near a color revolution. This is Bolshevik. They want to shut down speech. They want to put us in prison. They want to make up stuff so that they can use their DOJ. None of this is anywhere close to peaceful. Not even a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, the biggest example that we have in the 21st century is Ukraine, where we did it. And that resulted in a civil war between Eastern Ukraine and the rest of the Ukrainians. That's how that civil war started, was through that color revolution. So I think the end state of that term, if you can't get it done nonviolently, is to take it to violence. And that's what I see that we're witnessing here. And one of the problems that I have with the 6 senators that took to the videos last week and everything before our guardsman was killed and the other one severely wounded was that they know better. They know better to put something like that out and not. It's one thing if it's a political thing and you're being specific and you go, look, Donald Trump is doing X, Y, and Z. This is illegal. Here's why it's illegal. Just a reminder. You don't have to follow illegal or unlawful orders if you're in the U.S. military. We don't take an oath to the man. We take an oath to blah, 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 to the Constitution. I've said that, but that's not what they did. They have basically planted a seed.
Is in their oath. You answer to the commander-in-chief. So kind of you do take an oath to follow the commander-in-chief with a lawful order. There hasn't been any. They went on the Sunday. As you can see, I'm pretty pissed about this, Colonel, and I know you are too, because all they did was make our country weaker. Every aspect of their policy dictation is to make this country weaker. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of walking around trannies. I'm tired of people just deciding that kids at 10 years old should have the opportunity to transition. I'm tired of playing nice. I really am.
Yeah, I agree. When you hear from people, now enlisted people, when they take their oath, they swear to follow the orders of the president and the officers appointed over them, but officers do not. They take oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So there is a little bit of a difference there. When we're talking about it, I think we should point that out for folks so they understand it and everything. But the fact that these people are high elected officials and this Kelly guy is a retired U.S. Navy 06 who's held command before. He wears the little sheriff's badge, the star on his uniform. I saw that. That means he's been in command of something in the United States Navy. So he understands the military law and he understands what it means to put that out there and to basically throw a fish hook in the water to see if any of these young kids are going to make the mistake of taking it when they're under the pressure of combat, because that's who they're really aimed at, is the young men and women that are massing down in the Gulf of America, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And then you have the intel people that were part of CIA. CIA's holy grail of what they've been trying to do is find the Manchurian candidate for a very long time and be able to control them. They have figured out how to use the speech. They have figured out how to bring division, and they took it out there as congressmen and senators and in their intel world of CIA, and they implemented a weapon in that video to bring about discontent in the ranks, make people make decisions that might get people killed. And that's not what we train for in the military. You train to react. You train, you've heard thousands of stories where people were in a wartime situation and they say, my training just kicked in. I didn't think. My training just kicked in. And when that happens, we have to make sure that training is never, ever being ran over. And that's exactly what they did with a psychological operation by putting that video out in their position of power. And that in itself is sedition, treason. It's treasonous. And I don't care how you look at it. It needs to be handled, and we need accountability. That has to start happening, because I'm one of the, if you will, the veterans that will bite their tongue a little bit and wait for the system to work. But there's a whole bunch of veterans that are blowing up my DMs that are saying, I'm done with this. We are watching our country go into the toilet, and I'm not going to allow it. And they're playing with fire, and it's really disgusting. I'm so disgusted by these six. I can't even stand it, because you're right. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they weaponized the social media.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And wait till you see the next video clip that we're going to see from Commander Kelly. He's the commander of the Seditious Six, and he's doubling down, and now he's putting the bait on the hook in the water, and he's chumming. He's chumming because he's following up with the fake war crime story. We'll be right back with Chad Caton on The Rob Maness Show.
Do you appreciate all the free programming we produce here at Worldview Tube? Well, if you do, we need your partnership now. If you're already supporting us, thank you. If you're not, would you please consider doing so? We have to have a big November and December end of the year giving. Please go here right now to this website, worldviewfoundation.com. Worldviewfoundation.com. You can give through credit card. You can give through PayPal. You'll find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. You'll also find our phone number. Simply use that phone number by leaving a voicemail for Melissa or texting her, and my wife will get back with you and help you make your contribution over the phone. We send out tax receipts with our EIN number, well, the first week of February of each year. We, again, have to have a very big November and December as we get ready for pushing out more Christian worldview programming for 2026. So thank you for going now to worldviewfoundation.com. That's worldviewfoundation.com.
You can certainly go to the judge, advocate generals, the lawyers, and have a discussion about it. If you don't have time, you just say simply, I'm not going to do that. That's against the law.
It puts a lot of burden on the troops to make a decision in real time.
It puts a tremendous amount of burden on officers in the military, but that is their responsibility. And they can figure out, a reasonable person can tell something that is legal and something that is illegal.
So would you refuse these specific orders to strike drug boats if you were still in uniform?
Well, the difference between the initial strike and what is being reported, as a second strike, and those things are different. I think this administration has tied themselves in knots, the explanations that we have received on how this is all legal. And I was saying weeks ago, my concern is with the service members, that we're going to put these individuals in a really, really tough decision, in a tough place. And they may find out, down the road that they did something that is illegal. It is not fair to them. That's why we need presidents and Secretary of Defense who understand the Constitution, who understand the rule of law, and have more respect for the Constitution and the country and service members than the whims of a president.
Rob Maness Show, the color revolution is on. That is an operation right there. That is a tactical move where they've taken the leader of the Seditious Six group, whom I guess calls the Murderous Six, and they put out a fake news story about this war crime issue which didn't even happen, by the way. When you look at the video, it's been confirmed on video that the vessel was actually totally destroyed. There weren't 2 survivors. So it's a totally anonymously sourced fake news. But then this guy, Commander Kelly there, and I mean, I use the term commander because he's the commander of the Murderous Six, as Chad Caton calls them, grabs onto that. What's the reason behind it? Well, it's just another seed of doubt to be sown in the mind of the troops, isn't it, Chad? Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Colonel. That video has me full on hot right now because he knew it. She asked the specific question to him firing on those ships or boats, and he had no answer. He talked around it. He couldn't say, yes, that was an illegal move. He didn't say that. He didn't say any part of that. This is why, because if he did say that, he knows that he would be dealt with because there's nothing illegal about it. And how many people, as a former firefighter and medic, have I stuck a needle in their chest because of the fentanyl that is being brought over on those boats? Every bit of that has to do with our national security. And by God, it's about time somebody stood up and took care of this country and protected it. The number one job of an elected official. Mark Kelly's a piece of crap. And he has no right to any rank that you call him or I call him. He's just a dude. He's a guy that is speaking based on his ideology and nothing to his oath or the Constitution of the United States. I'm disgusted. I'm probably going to say that 100 times in this entire show, but these people need to be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with now.
This is why I wanted to get you on to talk about this, Chad. You know, what's really crappy on his part, and he knows this, and so does Slotkin. She was an analyst in the CIA, and so do all the rest of them that were veterans on this tape and intel people. They know that there is a very strong target approval and review process that occurs before the operations order is given to, we can call them the trigger pullers, the bomb droppers, the missile fire shooters, whatever you want to call the young men and women at the other end of those orders. And what they're saying is that the entire system has been corrupted simply because Donald Trump got elected the president of the United States. I think I would argue otherwise, that the system, he hasn't put enough people in place to be able to corrupt the system to that level of effect to get it away from their mindset, right?
You're absolutely right, Colonel. How many of our service members are dead right now because we needed to make damn sure before we fired on them? And how many times have you used to fly in the planes? Do not fire unless fire upon. That costs lives. That's the level that the United States government holds, or the United States military holds themselves, to make sure that we are damn sure about where we send our missiles and guns. And for this asshole to say here and try to say otherwise when he himself was a captain in the United States Navy flying F-18s, he knows better. And he put this out there because he wants to sow that doubt in the NCOs. The NCOs are the ones that actually run the military and have to actually go out there and be the trigger pullers. This guy is bringing the ideology that has no place in the United States military on every one of them, to the point where they might flinch just a second before they hit that trigger or that button to hit that missile. And who knows what that will cost in lives. It makes me sick. And we got to stop with it. And here's the other thing. We sit there with a JSOC analyst that has to make those decisions. He's acting like Donald Trump sitting on the toilet saying, go ahead and take that fishing boat out too. That's not anything close to what's happening. It is such a large group of people that are saying this fast boat has fentanyl on it, with our intel on the ground, with our JSOC analysts that are analyzing the ship itself based off of what's in it, with heat signatures and any other cool toys they have. And it goes all the way up to a commanding officer of some sort that says, this is a target acquired, eliminate it. There's so much. He's acting like Trump's on the toilet saying, hey, take that one out too. That's not what's happening anywhere close to that situation. And that's where they talk to the smallest and the lowest hanging fruit of this friggin' country, because people are too wrapped up in their feels. Get over it. Understand that the world's a dangerous place and it needs dangerous people to do dangerous stuff. That's just the truth of it all. And now when we do it, you got these people out there running their mouth when they know exactly what they're talking about. That's why he couldn't answer the question on whether or not Donald Trump did anything wrong, because he hasn't. He's been a president that has kept this country safe on all aspects, and they don't like it. It's disgusting. I think that's 33 times I've said disgusting today.
I'm going to go back and have the guys look at the tape on this one, and we'll count it up for you.
I'm sure Shell is over on the space.
You know, we didn't even talk about, you know, as a person that sat in the back seat and was responsible for bombing targets, once this whole process is done, and in the air tasking business, it's like a 72-hour process where the targets are identified, developed, and the orders are eventually cut that flow down to the actual aircraft that's carrying the bombs or the missiles or whatever we're carrying, and you've got the air crew in the aircraft, and we're under established rules of engagement. One of those is you have to positively identify the target, and the target's already gone through a long approval process that's signed off. In some cases, you know, like in the sensitive target approval and review process, it might be the president. But most of the time, it's signed off by the air officer that's over the Air Operations Center, 2 or 3-star general or an admiral that's air qualified. And then those orders flow out to the forces, which results in getting to me, in this case, the guy dropping the bombs or shooting the missiles at the target. And I'm not going to drop on a target that I can't positively ID. That's the rule of engagement that we have. I mean, that's how strict we operate under these rules, so that we ensure that we're killing the right target when we take a shot at one. And that is just the very end of a long trail of lawyers, judge advocate generals. I think we have too many of them. I agree with Pete Hegseth. Less lawyers and more trigger pullers. And more lethality is what our philosophy ought to be. But there are still a team of military lawyers that review all of these to make sure that we're not putting it on the men and women at the other end, where I'm talking about where I used to sit in the jet, and requiring them to do something that is either impossible or wrong or unlawful. So, I mean, it just really disappoints me to see a senior officer that's commanded. He's an aviator too. Flew in combat. So he knows what the process is. And to see him disparage the whole process that is even built so that if there is one bad apple in the process that it's trying to do something wrong, there's redundancies and double checks and triple checks on things, because you're talking about killing people when you get out to the very end of that chain, of that kill chain there. And we want to make sure that we're asking our young American men and women to do the right thing on behalf of their country. And it's just really crappy what he's doing, because now
it's disgusting.
Now, Chad, you know, and I know that people are going to hesitate. And you mentioned it in the first segment. When people hesitate, Americans die needlessly. On the battlefield or in air combat, it doesn't matter. When you hesitate because you're no longer relying on your training and your firm belief in that what you're doing is not just lawful, but the right thing to do and the right mission, because your country's asked you to do it, and you're following your oath of enlistment or oath of commissioning in order to do that, that hesitation is going to get people killed. And it's probably going to get people killed right here at home domestically that are wearing the American uniform. I'm not saying that's what happened to the Air Force Staff Sergeant and the Army specialists that were attacked by this jihadi last week in D.C., but the seed of doubt now is sown, and it's overlaid on all of these operations that we're asking our young men and women to do. And they have to have the right mindset, and they have to have rock solid faith in their commanders and their NCOs when they're given an order.
Yeah. I almost wish AOC was in the video, because at least I could just say she's a retard. And these people are all high ranking, having been in the game, having been in a spook shop, running intelligence, doing JSOC stuff, target acquisitions, things like that. And they did it to hurt Donald Trump and our military. They want the chaos that they're trying to bring. And 2 days later, a brand new soldier that just came into the National Guard was shot in the head and killed. And I'm going to put it with them. That blood is on their hands. Stop the rhetoric. Stop the rhetoric. You don't give a place for religious ideology to find themselves in a position where they can start to hunt us. You go out there as a leader in this country, and as you and I have both done, Colonel, and said, I know you hurt, but remember, we cannot do this on our own. Everybody keep your powder dry, calm down, and relax. We will win. We do that as leaders all the time. I do it on the Twitter, on shows. But how am I supposed to look at my veterans that are watching our own get hunted on the streets because of ideology coming out of communists who are so transfixed on their ideology instead of what they're supposed to be representing, that their state and this country?
Yeah,
I don't have an answer.
At one time, I like Boone's phrase, though, control your emotions, protect your mind.
I have prayed to him a lot, Colonel.
I'm channeling him right now. And that's not for you. That's for the audience that may be listening to this.
It's for me, too, because I'm not mad.
Yeah. But when we come back, we're going to see another clip, and this is from Tim Burchett, and he expands the aperture out to beyond just the seditious six and the potential for unlawful orders and the fake news article. And we're talking about this massive migration that's been allowed to occur into this country of people that will never be able to honestly swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which means they can't be citizens. We'll be right back with Chad Caton on the Rob Maness Show.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
Based on what CNN is reporting, what the Washington Post is reporting, do you believe if there was a second strike to eliminate any survivors, that constitutes a war crime?
It seems to. If that is true, if what has been reported is accurate, I've got serious concerns about anybody in that chain of command stepping over a line that they should never step over. We are not Russia. We're not Iraq. We hold ourselves to a very high standard of professionalism. And this is where I'm really troubled about this, is because I have so much respect for people in the United States Navy. I served in the Navy for 25 years, and there is no organization more professional than Navy SEALs. And they should be revered. And that's why I say I hope what I've heard about this strike is not accurate.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. And obviously the clip I said was going to show up, I was wrong about that. We had another clip about Kelly because I wanted to get him specifically talking about that second strike. Chad, before we jump into some other aspects of this color revolution and what's happening here in this country, how dare he? How dare he say he respects the people of the United States Navy because it's the targeteers, the intel types, and the lowest level commanders that are going out and doing these missions at the end of this long process to make sure that the orders are lawful. that are being professional and killing these targets, which every one of these targets probably saves 50,000 Americans if it's got fentanyl on the damn boat. How dare he say he respects them when he's calling into question the process that they're operating in? It is infuriating me from the perspective of I know and everybody that's worn the uniform that's involved in putting warheads on foreheads and killing people knows this process very, very well. And we know that there are ways to call it out if it looks illegal through layers and layers of professionals that do their job. I think they're still doing their job. I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes what's going on inside the military, but it's just very disrespectful. And he has the audacity to say he respects them. Unbelievable.
Well, we know he does it. We know he's talking out of his behind. And why? Because he voted 14 times to not pay the United States military during the CR.
Oh, yeah.
You don't give a flip about those sailors. You don't give a flip about
right.
those pilots. You don't give a shit about anybody in the military. All you care about is your ideology, you scumbag. Don't sit here and try to tell the American people anything other when you sit there and say, I spent 25 years. You spent 25 years as an officer and getting your ass wiped. Don't give me that crap. I don't want to hear it. And when you don't vote for the military to get paid during the closed shutdown, you don't give a crap about anybody. Don't sit here and try to say that. This guy is an absolute piece of crap. There is no, I mean, talk about, we've seen him connected to Benedict Arnold, to all kinds of different people. He's just a swamp rat. He is a piece of crap swamp rat, and not anybody in the military that is ever worth their weight or their weapon should have any respect and should be just as pissed as I am.
Yeah, and I'll just add something to it, just to add some fuel to the fire, so to speak. He's got a company that does Chinese surveillance balloons. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, we shot one down here in South Carolina.
I know. And did a very good job doing it.
This guy needs to be in a brig. This guy needs to be making big rocks into small rocks and then glue them back together. This guy has no place in our government, let alone society. He's a war criminal.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I mean, the Secretary of War gave a letter to the Department of the Navy ordering them to investigate this man and look at his actions under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So I think we've got a hand up over in the audience. Go ahead, Shil.
We have Nathan, sir.
Good afternoon, Colonel Chad, Shil. Yeah, you guys brought up the rules of engagement, and I think that really needs to get defined. And I don't know what types of rules of engagement the National Guard have, because I know from firsthand accounts hearing from other Marines on embassy duty that their rules of engagement were really messed up, and their direction our country is going. I hope the National Guard gets a good handle on what to expect.
Yeah, I don't know what the Marine embassy rules of engagement are, but the standing rules of engagement is a rule of engagement. The primary one that I will never forget is the ability to defend myself when fired upon. And our troops in D.C. actually did that, although the major, the reporting said he was the major that was out doing his rounds and talking to his troops and everything, didn't have a firearm on him, so he attacked the guy with his pocket knife. And I have some questions about that. Every person in uniform that's on a post, I don't care if you're the commander walking around or a troop on the post, you ought to be armed. Even on that duty.
What if 2 days prior to that, Slotkin was sitting on the national television saying, I'm worried that the National Guard are going to get scared and start shooting people? What if that trickled down into our leadership? What if that was the commandant or the general is saying, man, I don't know, should we, these are booters. Do we give them a gun? Have we trained them well enough? We already got Slotkin out there 3 days prior at saying that she's worried about National Guardsmen shooting citizens, as if that's going to happen. happen. This and that's where we see that doubt, right? What if there's a general? What if there is a colonel that's sitting there going, man, did you hear Slotkin? They're going to come after us if we kill a citizen. They're not going to come after Trump. They're going to come after us. So we're not going to give weapons to these people. That's the problem, man. That's where we are becoming weak because of feckless, weak people in Congress and the Senate. I'm so sick of these disgusting people. It's unbelievable that anybody is standing a post and doesn't have a weapon, not only a sidearm, but a rifle. What's the point in being out there then? Why don't you just do like they do in small cities and put the police car at the gas station with no cop so everybody thinks there's a cop? I mean, we keep playing these games. We're going to keep winning stupid prizes.
Yeah, I think they ought to be carrying their rifles and a sidearm at the ready and the rifle at the ready position.
Agreed.
That's what I think, because you're putting lives at risk. We'll spend more time on this in the last segment on the specialist and the Air Force Staff Sergeant. But you're putting lives at risk by not having that major have a sidearm on and having to go after this guy with a pocket knife. He might have been fast enough with a sidearm to save them from getting hit in the head.
As far as I'm concerned,
because both of them
out
were
of
shot in the
uniform.
head. Exactly.
He's out of uniform.
So that's one of my questions is, what are the rules of engagement for arming our troops that are on the streets of America being tasked to do these missions? Because this mission is a military mission that they're tasked with, and it's about stopping violence. So they need to be able to use violence if necessary to be able to not just save their own lives, but to protect citizens' lives and property and those kind of things in this situation. And it's just not acceptable. Even the commanders are told, no, you don't need to be armed. Because when I first heard the pocket knife thing, I'm like, oh, I wonder if he's going to get in trouble because he wasn't supposed to have a knife on him. You see where my thinking went? It went right to disciplinary action, because I'm seeing these seeds of doubt being sown. And I know it's flowing into the rules of engagement and what people are thinking.
We've already proven that it's there, and another caveat to this, I think it's hilarious that these warmongers that want to blow up Russia and go fight Russia with Ukraine and want to hand every 18-year-old they can a weaponry, but when it's on our own land, they're scared to death and afraid they're just going to kill everybody. This is the stupid that comes out of the Democratic Party. Like, it's not even close to being kind of a party. It's really just communist ideology. We got to tear this down in order to build it back up once we take power. And that's what's happening. That's the color revolution, the Bolshevik revolution, whatever you want to call it. It's coming at us fast. And until the American people recognize it and people get past their feels and their ideology and start recognizing the party that is of hate and violence, that of the Democrat Party, then maybe we can get something fixed. And until then, we're just going to keep writing strongly worded letters and piss more people off until we take care of it ourselves, like we did in Portland.
Well, we are killing a lot of drug boats, so.
I like that. There's sharks out there high as shit right now.
Yeah, and I voted for that.
Me too.
I'm all for it. I think it's perfectly lawful. It's been through the process.
Let the sharks party. I'm in.
Yeah, exactly right. What was I going to ask you? I lost my train of thought there for a second, Chad. You got me distracted.
I do that.
When you were out at Portland and everything, but when we have our forces on our own streets, and then you see this fake news report about Washington Post, about the war crimes, right? Yeah, some of that's linked to the Seditious Six video. That's all part of a strategy and a tactic too, in a specific line of operation. But what do you say to folks that are going, oh, you notice that the death of the National Guard soldier and the severe wounding of the Air Force Staff Sergeant is now out of the media because of this war crime story?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what they come up with, whether Donald Trump, spit on the street in New York and he needs to be extradited for a ticket or anything. Take Orange Man Orange man down. That's it. That will own the media. That's why the Rob Maness show, this entire Worldview Tube network is important. We need them all out there. We need spaces. We need everybody out there speaking their truth, because we have to get back to some semblance of common sense, because we are being attacked by the mainstream media. We are only being fed what they want us to talk about. And I assure you, there'll probably be no pomp and circumstance that's deserving of this young lady that was murdered in the street of Washington. Why? Because they don't want to bring it back up. They don't want to bring up the fact, because their favorite religion, Islam, is involved in this also. So it's either a tranny, or we got Islam, or we got something else. And it's all because of Democrat leftist ideology that has been put here to divide and conquer this country. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and they're going after the military, Chad, just like the real Bolsheviks did in World War I. With the Red and the White Army. The White Army was the Tsar's, the Russian government's army, and they created a divide between soldiers in the army and commanders in the army in the original Russian Revolution, and that's how they were able to impart enough violence and enough division to cause the country to fall, and then recreate it as the Soviet Union with it.
And that's why I am not calling it the Color Revolution anymore. This is a Bolshevik revolution, because if you remember correctly, also the Bolsheviks were the minority. They just said we're the majority. They never were the majority at all. They said we're the majority as the minority and took control of every aspect of Russia. And then they started killing people and scaring people. And they ended up being the majority because people had to be a Bolshevik, or in fact, they would be murdered in the street. And the thing is, it's not Mark Kelly murdering nobody, but he sure is lifting up the wackadoodle ideology across this country that I'm supposed to sit here and stop my car so some feller can get out on his rug and pray. It's not going to happen. This is America, and it's coming to a tipping point, and we are very, very, very close. And I'm scared to death of it, Colonel, because I know people that are like you and I, well trained and understand what we see, and there is no going back. This is going to explode, and I don't know how, when, where, but it's going to explode, and it's going to be something that's going to be hard to reel back.
Yeah, we got to take our last break, but it takes action. The president has given some orders, and now we need to act. We'll talk about that. And we'll hear from Tim Burchett, the congressman, about this wider aspect of that. Chad just mentioned the Islamists and the Marxists. That's all part of this. We'll be right back with Chad Caton.
You're watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Yeah, we've got a huge problem, and we know it. I mean, these folks are here; they're military age, and we've got to address it. And I don't, legislation. Look, Congress can't get out of their own way. It just takes too long. Let's just be honest, both parties. I mean, and somebody asked me why we do that, Burchett, and I said, by tradition, of course. I mean, that's just our tradition, just to drag our heels. And the K Street lobbyists, look, one thing you got to remember, too, is who's funding these groups when they get here? Yeah. A lot of these groups are funded through NGOs. And NGOs, non-government organization, that's a poor name for them because you're American tax dollars. In Afghanistan alone, we know of at least 1,000 that are funded through American NGOs. And then if you add the United Nations, which is another disaster, it's a calamity waiting to happen. And I agree. These folks are everywhere. It needs to be, legislation is great, but we need an executive order, I think, to jump in on this thing in a hurry, because Congress will, again, wants to drag its feet, and then we'll be looking at another bright, shiny object down the street next week.
Yeah.
Congressman, in terms of where we go from here, is Congress going to launch any sort of investigation looking into Operation Allies Welcome going forward, and how things came to be this way in the United States?
Ma'am, I'm sure we'll launch several investigations, and we'll write somebody a very strong letter. Again, we've got a commander-in-chief that gets it, and Congress never gets it. It's just too drug out. The Republicans have a 3 or 4 person lead, and we're one flu season away from really losing the Republic, because the left, which is the Democrat Party, is not your granddad's Democrats anymore. These people are Marxists. They're openly against our country. They hate our military. They hate our border patrol. They hate everything about it. And this is just, you can't. They won't even apologize. They won't even say they're sorry that this young lady lost her life in service to our great country. And yet, they're out touting this, and they're out promoting it. They're out promoting. They want people to be to disobey orders from their commander-in-chief. I mean, it's kind of they've crossed over that line, and there's no going back. And where's the outrage? You don't even see the outrage that from any of the major news sources outside of yourself of this situation. It is ridiculous. This poor lady was murdered by somebody who had no shape, form, or fashion should have been in our great country, but was allowed. And there's more just like him out there. I can guarantee you that.
You bet there are more just like him out there. Nobody drives 3,000 miles from the northwest coast of the United States to the nation's capital because they're upset about their financial situation or they're having family stress. Nobody does that. Not when they're going to come right around the corner, walk right up to a National Guard patrol and start firing without saying a word except for Allah Akbar. You're going to hear it, just like Congressman Burchett just said. They won't even acknowledge that this woman died for her country, and my guest is Jad Caton today, and he's a little bit fired up. Everybody else is too, especially us that have worn the uniform and that have spent the rest of our lives trying to fight this revolution that is happening or attempting to be happening inside the United States of America. Chad, I'm going to have the producer put up the pictures of those 2 guardsmen because we have to show these pictures and put their names on it, because as Burchett said, the only people that are talking about this is independent media. There they are. And sadly, the Army specialist has died and everything. And Staff Sergeant Wolf from the Air Force, both guardsmen from West Virginia, he is responding. I reported at the beginning of the show, I don't know if you were on with me yet or not, Chad, that he was responding, giving thumbs up to the nurses. So we've had a miracle there. Because his brain injury was pretty devastating too. But we have to put their names up there and put their faces up there and continually get this in front of the American people to remind them of the kinds of people that sign up with a blank check to make this sacrifice for their country. And that's what that young lady was doing. Make no bones about it. She may be new, but everybody that does it knows what they're signing up for. And we owe it to them to talk about them all the time instead of the stupid stories about fake war crimes. We have to talk about that to point it out, but this is the most important thing we should be talking about on the news every day.
You know how much I love my veterans. You know how much I love, the time I served, and before I got hurt, I probably would have done 30 years. I just don't understand how a Mark Kelly or Hot Lips Houlihan or any of these other senators and congressmen can look themselves in the mirror and say, I did the right thing, that I am representing the side of this country that is all great American pie, apple pie, the 4th of July, everything that makes this country so special to the entire planet.
Yeah.
Especially those that served in intel, in the CIA, in the military. They understand what duty is. They understand the concept of honor, courage, commitment. They're not courageous for going out there and seeding doubt in our rank and file. These two that were shot were because of terrible policy.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley was killed because of terrible policy. The number one job of government is the protection of its people. And if you can't do that, then it's time we remove you from office, because there's a whole shitload of us that will stand that post one more time.
Absolutely.
Frankly,
right, man.
I'm tired of watching our American people be led out to slaughter.
I agree. Now, President Trump sees this for what it is, and he's made several announcements about policy shifts. He's pausing immigration from third world countries. He's directed a review of the tens of thousands of Afghan refugees that were let in this country. And there's no way that these people could be vetted. This guy, the initial reporting, well, he was a CIA guy, he's been vetted. No. Folks, that's like a battlefield type vetting process. That has nothing to do with whether this man's family and his belief system are compatible with the United States of America. Does it, Chad?
No. And where's if you're EOD or you have a special nomenclature in the military that can cause a lot of death, you have to register. You have to tell them where you're at. They follow you and they watch you your entire life because you are overtly trained to hurt a lot of people very quickly. Navy SEALs, Delta Force, all these guys are always known where they're at. You and I both know it. You were EOD. And here we have somebody that worked for the CIA, that was a foreign national working for the CIA in his own country. And we just let him go up to Washington and do whatever the flip he wants. We're not watching his radicalization. We're not monitoring these people that were once working for the frigging CIA. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And on top of all that is the culture that these people come from, and their religious belief is just totally incompatible with the concept of the United States of America. And they come in here, and this guy is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the DHS put out a long thread of more than 20 jihadi attacks or attempted attacks by jihadis from Afghanistan that have occurred over the last year or so. And it's just remarkable that it took something like this, even for this administration, to put their foot down and say, okay, we've got to do something. Do you think that the American people that supported Donald Trump, especially those independents and those kind of folks, are going to be on board with this from a political perspective?
No. And let me tell you why. Because a lot of the independents, cool, you want to get rid of taxes. It's all about what you're going to do for me, not what can you do for your country. And the people that are out there that choose to stand on the sideline as an independent, which just drives me crazy, because this is a two-party system, and if you don't like the party, go change it. But we don't. We're apathetic. We have 300,000 RNC seats open as committeemen across this country. Nobody gives a fly and flip about any of it unless it reaches them. And then they're going to go to work. They're going to go out there to some protest somewhere and say they're taking babies. They're not allowing these people from famine into our country. This is racist or Islamophobic and blah, 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 blah. Shut the door, Katie bar that bitch, and let's fix our country. Then we can look to the rest of the world and be the superpower that we're supposed to be. But until then, enough with the BS. I'm serious. I'm done with it. I don't want to see this happen in my country. I'm tired of waking up feeling like the entire world's on top of me. And as somebody that's trained to defend, I can't. Why? Because the big brother in Washington's got it covered. Bullshit. Somebody needs to start doing things. And you even heard Tim Burchett say they're going to write a strongly worded letter and probably nothing's going to happen. You people are terrible. You people are terrible, and everybody, and that's Democrat and Republican. You should all hang your head. Shame on all of you. It's time for drastic measures right now so that we don't have it blow up in our streets.
Yeah,
Literally.
I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. Well, there's this thing going around. I saw it yesterday that the proposal to rename the Department of Homeland Security the actual Department of Defense, and maybe the old school militia should come back, and those of us that are trained already should be recruited into that militia to not just be on call, but to actually go out and look for these people and get eyes on them. And start doing the roundup. Out you go. You know.
Well, one of the problems I had in
think they
Portland
all
is the
need to be
cops were coming
deported.
after us.
Yeah.
Here we are going against domestic terrorists that the president has detailed. They're wearing shirts that says I am Antifa. And when we went out there and started going after them, we had cops put us in handcuffs. Why?
Yeah.
Because of ideology and your government BS. Until we made it so uncomfortable for that mayor and that police chief that they just started finally doing the right thing. That's how we win. Stand in the breach every single time, no matter what happens.
Absolutely right, my friend. Absolutely right. Well, thanks for coming on today. I want to bring that picture back up of these two great Americans, just to remind folks that you need to be praying for them and their families, and praying for your country, and praying for all of our troops that are in harm's way, whether it's on the streets of the District of Columbia or down in the Gulf of America, or still in the deserts of the Middle East, or over in Europe. It doesn't matter. Our troops are there for you, and you need to be there for them. Thanks a lot, Chad Caton. I'm Fired Up, at I'm Fired Up 2 on X. Tomorrow, this is going to be good. It'll cause a fire. My boss, Brandon House, is coming on to talk about his program. He did a 2-part program called Why I Am a Christian Zionist. I can't wait for that, because it's going to be a good educational Training Tuesday show here on Worldview Tube.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a